Wonderful. Okay, so you guys continue eating because I'll go ahead and start kicking things off here. And feel free, to get up and, if you want to get something more to eat or, something to drink, feel free. Again, really just want to keep this, fun and informal, but I don't want you guys to feel like you're tied to your seats. You need to get up, so please do at will. So let me quickly just run over our agenda, and I know we have about an hour and a lot to cover, but again, I really think, let's try to accomplish as much as we can today. It really is, again, just introductions and starting to think about, what are the goals and objectives that we would like to pursue for our upcoming workshop, and what are some of the good ideas, and we've heard some around the table. So anyway, I'm really excited about this. So earlier we had a tour of the facility. I think this place is outstanding, and I think, before I dive into it too much, I want to thank with all of my heart Jeff and his team for hosting us, and for RPI to be our most awesome host for our workshop. I mean, we could not ask for a more beautiful place. This is really awesome. And not only that, just the multiple hats that you wear, and that this is right up your alley. This is what you guys do. So this is just a perfect opportunity for us, and we're just so pleased to work with you. And thanks for just accommodating us and setting up this lovely lunch and just making this a really awesome experience for us. So
one last thing, the room that we're waiting to see is open. So when we're finished here, we can just poke our heads in.
Oh, great. Okay, wonderful. Okay, great. So for our next hour, what I put some topics, and I shared this with you guys in a previous email, but thought I would first kind of give some structure around our day-and-a-half meeting, and then also talk about, what are some potential goals and objectives that we would like to pursue for our workshop, but also, what are some other ideas? Let's make sure that we're all on the same page and that we don't miss anything. We only have a day and a half. That may sound like a lot, but actually it's not very much time for such a great opportunity to come together. So we're going to have to be very clear of what we want to accomplish with this day-and-a-half workshop. So with that fact, and today I sent out an email, and most of all of you, and I don't have you guys yet email, but I will, should have received an invite for our July 28th work group webinar, and Federal Highway Administration has released the RFI for the requesting applications for alternative fuel corridor designation. So this is really exciting. This is something we've all been anticipating, I know, and then Mike has been working really hard with Diane on that, so we're really excited, and I haven't dived into it yet, but it's out to the world, and I think that a date for deadline will be set tomorrow, or?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the 30th of August, but it's 30 days after the effective date. The effective date is 30 days.
30 days. Okay. Okay, wonderful. So which is not all the time. Oh, that's right. And that's why it's so great we have this really great work group, because maybe if we can arm folks with enough information, resources, and partners, we can see some really successful applications submitted. And that's what we really want to promote on our next work group call, which will be next Thursday. So hoping all of you can join us for that. So then, pertaining to that, we'll hopefully by November 2nd, Mike, the award, or not award, but the designation assignments will be announced. So that will really be helpful because we'll know exactly what corridors have been designated for alternative fuel corridors. So then we can really put our heads around planning for those specific corridors. So that's another really good opportunity for our workshop, is to highlight what comes out of the announcements for what corridors have been designated. So that's really great. Also, this is, again, a brainstorming activity for some of the topics that we want to consider. And, Alan mentioned a really good point in terms of what are our private partners, companies across all modes of transportation, what technologies and strategies are they putting in place to help improve efficiency, to help reduce emissions, to help be more fuel efficient. That's a really great topic, and I think that really ties into us looking at our corridors and setting up our corridors to accommodate these technologies, what do our private partners need in order for this to work? So I think that's a really great topic idea. So I want to hear more topic ideas like that. So we'll make sure that we capture all those ideas. And then what I would like to do at the very end of our meeting today is just kind of establish some very immediate next steps. So perhaps we might want to think about setting up a schedule for regular planning team meetings that works for everyone, and kind of get ourselves kind of goals that we want to accomplish as we lead up to the workshop. So making sure that we effectively get the word out on the workshop, take sponsorships to help us cover our food costs, look at what logistical stuff we want to do, our vendors and tech displays, and I think there's an opportunity for vehicle displays, possibly, Jeff, which would be really cool for folks to actually get behind the wheel and kind of see what these cool vehicle technologies and maybe other great technologies that are in the market. So anyway, that's kind of what I was thinking for today, and that's a lot. So we might have to scale it back a little bit. So no pressure on anybody. And then at 1:30, a good number of us will be going on a boat tour of the Port of Albany. And I think that will be really kind of a nice touch to why we're all here. We're looking at how we can improve freight movement and improving it to be more efficient. And this is not only a discussion on roadways, this is also a discussion on waterways. So as we're looking at promoting clean freight corridors, we're also talking about the maritime as well. So,
Alicia?
yes, Jerry.
Can you take me on the boat tour?
Absolutely, Jerry.
Okay, thanks.
We'll do FaceTime. Go ahead, Martha. Speak up loudly, dear heart. Sorry.
Unfortunately, the director of the Port Authority doesn't have to here with us today. So the gentleman who's going to lead the tour is Dave Williams. I don't know what he's going to cover at Port of Albany. We started a large service that I got started years ago as part of the region of highway. I can't remember the number. I wanted to extend it. So I hopefully we can talk a little bit about that. It's the big thing in the port industry that we've got new certification and we have expense behind it. It's a great tool.
Excellent. That's and Martha is the reason why we're going on this boat tour. She was the lovely gal to court. Well, I know, but you were wonderful to make the connection, and Rick is so wonderful to host us. So anyway, I want to thank you too. So that's awesome. Great. So for now, how many of you participated on our last work group call where we discussed and went over what we learned in the first 4 webinars? Did you? Traveling? Okay. I thought, would it be helpful for folks to kind of understand what we've learned so far, just so that we can kind of gauge, as we've kind of made progress, and let me show you real quick. So we put together, now this is good. See, now that I'm facilitating, now I can see what kind of delay time you guys get when you're on the other end. All right, so this is continues to grow this roadmap that we've developed, but if you can see the highlighted yellow, that will be our next call. So we're moving on to our 6th work group call. All of our work group webinars have been recorded and are online, thanks to Gary. So anyone can listen into all the really good discussions that we've had. We also provide all the PowerPoint presentations and any minutes that we've taken. So all that information is available online. But I just wanted to kind of show you, what we've kind of learned as we've gone along this roadmap and how it leads us to our workshop in November. So we kicked off our work group on February 18th. That was really an opportunity to say we're forming this partnership because we want to better coordinate and work together across state lines to promote clean freight corridors, bringing in a diverse stakeholdership of industry, government, advanced tech, environmental groups, various planning partners, It's an opportunity for us all to get around the table and work together to promote clean transportation technologies in the Northeast. So our first work group really kind of set the stage for why we're coming together and why this is so crucial. And it was kind of excellent because the FAST Act rolled out Section 1413, and it provided us an opportunity to really kind of get a head start in talking about these issues so that we can be a bit more proactive as we plan for clean corridors in the Northeast. So in March, there were two solicitations out. One was the DARA program, and the other was it Tiger or Bethlehem? So we kind of felt like we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the funding opportunities at the time. I know we kind of put the horse in front of the cart. I don't know whatever the expression is, but whatever. We felt that, look, let's talk about these funding opportunities and how does that correlate to, corridors and planning for projects that set up infrastructure or promote the adoption of clean emission reduction technologies. Let's talk about how we can be more strategic going forward to use these great funding opportunities to plan for clean freight corridors. So that was a really good webinar to learn about these grant programs and how they do relate to our clean freight corridor goals. Our third webinar was the regional freight flows webinar, and that was a fantastic program, I felt, where we had Federal Highway Administration and the I-95 Corridor Coalition present on freight movement and freight flows in the Northeast. And so it really gave us a better understanding of where our barriers and where our bottlenecks are in terms of congestion and where we're seeing a lot of issues with air quality and where we need to focus our priorities in terms of improving efficiency and improving air quality within the Northeast. So it was a really good way to understand what movement's being made. And I think also, Jerry, you had presented as well and kind of shared, what's going on in the NECFC region and why this is so important as we look at how we coordinate our corridors and plan more strategically, and why working with partners from various different groups is going to be key to that. Then moving on to number 4, which was defining clean corridors. So what we wanted to do was really get on the same page on, so what do we mean by clean corridors? So we talked about, okay, so one, we want to look at, improving efficiency. We want to reduce emissions. We want to integrate clean technologies. We're going to need to set up infrastructure along our major corridors. And how would we do that strategically? And who are going to be the private public entities that are going to be accessing that infrastructure? So it was a really good opportunity for us to understand and define what clean corridors meant as a work group. And I think that's really been helpful because now with the FAST Act, Section 1413 RFI out, we all done some homework. We've all put our head around this topic and better understanding. So then number 5, so we knew that this RFI was going to be coming out, and it was really an opportunity to say, look, we want to make sure that those applications are getting in. What do we need to arm our partners with in terms of information and resources to get prepared to submit a successful application? So our team, thanks to Susan and Abby, drafted drop-in language to support our partners' application. So of course we didn't know at the time what the RFI would contain, but I think we had a really, Federal Highway Administration had held 2 webinars collecting feedback from stakeholders on kind of understanding, defining clean corridors and understanding what the criteria should be. So I think we took a lot of those lessons learned from those 2 webinars, Mike, and helped us draft this drop-in language to help our partners. So whether we're supporting our MPOs like Jerry, whether we're supporting our state DOTs like Alan, or whether we're looking at a regional application, it's really just kind of doing our homework and getting ready. Well, now that the RFI is out, our next work group call is going to be talking about the actual RFI solicitation. We'll have a nice overview, hopefully Mike comes back in, an overview of the key elements of the RFI, an opportunity for folks to ask questions. And then we want to talk about, okay, who's thinking about putting an application in and how can we help you, right? So this is going to be a really important work group discussion on the 28th. And then we have a couple of others that are leading up into the workshop. And of course, we can be flexible. We can evaluate what work group needs we have before we definitively assign the next 2 work group calls. So you can see, we came up with some ideas on what we would like to talk about. I think there's folks would really like to understand what technologies are available. What should we be thinking about for different modes of transportation? What are successful technologies depending on the mode of transportation, and how does that correlate with setting up infrastructure for that? And then the eighth webinar is kind of, okay, so now let's talk about how do we plan, how do we coordinate. And I think a lot of that's going to lead into our actual workshop. So it's going to be, okay, we've talked about freight flows, we've talked about funding opportunities, we've talked about, these applications and what criteria is required, and we now know potentially at the time what corridors have been nominated. So how do we now work together and move this forward, right? So anyway, I'm excited. I hope all of you are excited. But I think I had more slides. But did that give everyone a good kind of overview of where we've been and how far we've come? All right, great. Let me go back to the agenda. Okay, so objectives. I already gave you these, so you don't need to do it. Jerry, can you hear me okay? Are you seeing everything all right?
Everything so far is good. Thanks, Alicia.
Okay, you bet. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take notes now. I would like to start off with kind of giving you guys, okay, so let me start off with this overview of the Day and a Half workshop. So day one, everyone, which is going to be Thursday, November 3rd. Okay, so what we're thinking is everyone will arrive. If you look at the agenda here, so this, you guys, this actually was kind of me taking the partners meeting agenda from our Providence meeting, and I basically deleted most of the content, but I wanted to give folks kind of a structure of the day, so to help you kind of think, put your head around how the day might look. And Jerry, I'm so sorry you don't have this in front of you, but I'll send it to you later. But to give you an idea of how this day might flow and what topics we want to include. Do we want a keynote speaker? When should we have our break? Just to give you kind of an idea of a skeleton outline that we can work together to fill out. So anyway, we're thinking that Wednesday, which is November 2nd, we would come, everyone would arrive. Maybe we want to do an Albany port tour. Maybe there's some other great mode of site visits we might want to do. We can talk about that. We might have that as an option. We might not have that as an option. Do we want to do a, it's going to be cold right now, especially on the water. So maybe not a boat tour, maybe just like a yeah, Bill. They have a van for Albany that they do tours in. Okay. But it's not very large. It's not very large. So maybe different groups. Not all of them. Okay. So we'll look into options. That's something we can talk about as a team. But I love your thinking already. Maybe we can do it by shuttle. But we can look at other options that might be available to us as well. But I think the Port in Albany, kind of getting that experience today might be really exciting and might be something we want to offer to our participants come November. Go ahead.
I don't know if you're looking for other ideas. There's also the Albany International Airport, which is there, but they've done tours of their previously with FedEx and the PS and so there's no offices. No, that's his first choice.
Well, this would be great. We're not focusing so much on the air, we're more road and rail and marine and off-road.
It would be interesting to see. Well, it'll be right because of the modal right. Because of the increase, right on the air side too.
So, well, it's a really good idea. It's a really good idea. We have connections at EPS, and that might be kind of cool. All right, wonderful. No, so this is right. So feel free. We don't have to worry about interrupting me.
I think the boat that you're going to go on today definitely is out for November, kind of open air.
Okay.
But another option, if the boat option was liked by everybody, is in Troy. I'm not sure how long they stay here into the winter, but I'm pretty sure they're here through October at least. I think it's JP Cruise Lines, which is the top deck is open for people that want to walk around outside, and then there's inside, and they serve food. So possibly they go down basically from Troy down to the Port of Albany and back. So that potentially could be some kind of evening reception option.
Yeah, that.
I'm I might go past the water. I can make it to Columbus Day. The weather gets really icy, and I'm on the water. I love that, but I just wouldn't be that way too. In the weather. As you say, I have trouble getting my water. This is really start seeing hurricanes, little things like that. Look into it, but that would be like my last choice. And I know it's going to be cold. I wanted back to one.
It's an idea. We can evaluate our options. It's inside and nice and toasty, and it's not an icy water situation. Might work, but it's not.
Are there any of those delivery companies that have on?
That's right. We've been to their. What facility did we have the workshop at? Maybe that's the only in which Christian Park. And they have some e-trucks. They have some electric delivery trucks. They have a wonderful story and a wonderful presentation. They're really great. That's a really that's an idea. Okay. All right. Wonderful. So good. So that's possibilities that we're looking into for Wednesday to offer folks who are coming in, maybe a little early, to take part in the site tour. What we did at our partners meeting in October, we had a lovely welcoming reception, and that was just a real wonderful way for folks to kind of meet and greet and get to know each other a little bit before we kicked off our full day on that following day. So that's something that we can also think about for our November meeting. But our first full day will be on the Thursday, and that will be the November 3rd. We're really seeing that as kind of our Northeast Queens Bay Corridor workshop. That will be where we're kind of continuing our roadmap discussion. We're going to talk about what goals and objectives we would like to accomplish in this meeting today, but that's kind of what we're thinking, that full day will be dedicated to our work group initiative. On day 2, which will be a half-day program, the Federal Highway Administration, in partnership with New York, the state DOTs, with Oregon State DOT being the lead agency on behalf of the pooled fund, they formed a really wonderful alternative fuel and vehicle initiative that brings DOTs together to talk about how to more effectively roll out alternative fuel programs and technologies and initiatives. And they've had a number of work groups, which Susan and I were fortunate to participate in February, the finance and in DC, and that was really good. And they're smaller. They're typically a smaller session of folks, but we felt that this would be a really wonderful opportunity since we're going to be inviting a number of the DOTs and MPOs to our full-day meeting, that it would roll in really nicely into that half-day program. Mike, I don't want to overspeak to kind of the goals and objectives of the pooled fund. I have a certain idea, but I know it's really an opportunity to talk about the needs for the state DOTs, talk about creating tools and resources to support state DOTs to help better and more effectively roll out alternative fuel programs. This particular one is going to focus on clean corridors. So it's going to be kind of a nice lead into what we're talking about on day 1, and really having a really good kind of tool development discussion, case study evaluation on day 2, which will be a half-day program. So we'll be working very closely. Our planning team will be working closely with the state DOT. And Alan, I think you're going to be kind of our host state DOT for this, which is really exciting. We're so excited. But then cabinet group with Oregon State DOT. Jeff, are you on?
Yes, I am on. I've been listening for a while now.
Oh, you have been. Jeff, introduce yourself, and then do you want to give a quick little snippet on kind of what the goals and objectives would be for the half-day pooled fund workshop?
Sure. So I'm Jeff Morrison, and CADMIS has been contracted by FHWA and ODOT to kind of facilitate the workshops, to do basically any behind-the-scenes that's necessary for planning and implementing the workshops. And so for this workshop, it's kind of I would say we're a little bit in flux. It's going to depend a little bit on who all registers for the first day, and this is kind of the first chance I've looked through the agenda for the first day. So I would say we don't have anything like concretely figured out for the agenda for the second day yet, but yeah, I mean, the overall objective is, as you said, clean corridors, focused on freight, and probably talking as much as possible about the FAST Act. So, yep.
Right. And Jeff, you'll have a team in us, right? So we'll be working to help, come up with a really great, productive program for the half day. And what I want to be mindful of is if any structure, any kind of planned out structure that you guys typically use, that we kind of meet that formula and meet those requirements. So don't you worry, rest assured, we're just now getting started on this. So we'll work together to put together a really good day-and-a-half program agenda and make sure that that half-day program meets the needs of the pooled fund partners.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Sounds
that
good.
sound okay?
Yep. Sounds great.
All right. Wonderful. And are you guys hearing everyone okay? I'm trying to make sure that we're all projecting, but if not, I can do some repeating. And I'm also recording this meeting so that we can, share it with others that may have missed the call today. What I'm going to do, you guys.
I hear you loud and clear. So, yep.
Oh, perfect, Jeff. Thank you so much. All right. And Jerry, you're still there?
I'm still here.
Good. All right. So with that, everyone, let's see, where are we? We have about 35 minutes. So let's just kind of go around the room and let's talk about kind of, some important goals, objectives, and some ideas that you think would be really important to accomplish at our workshop. And we started talking about a number of really good ideas. I want to hear from you. Maybe what would you like to see as an outcome of this workshop? And I'm going to take notes while you guys share your ideas and vision. Hold on one second, Jerry. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Jerry.
I'm sorry. I was going to make a suggestion, but I don't want to step on anybody else.
No, go ahead. Make your suggestion, please.
All right. So, yeah, one thing is, again, something that we began in Providence last year by talking about how will this idea get actually implemented. It's kind of a policy level discussion, the planning, the future implementation and so forth. It's still not clear because the freight corridors are obviously more than, they're mega regional essentially. I think it'd be helpful to have a discussion about how to bring that all together in the context of the current planning bodies and so forth. So that would be my suggestion.
Good. Martha, I'm sorry, speak up here.
Well, actually, talking a lot about what HFQA has asked through their RFI.
Yeah.
We've been investigating. And, what we can coordinate our proposals either near that or to participate in that.
I love that. I follow you.
So that's kind of a two-part thing. What are we going to do now with the RFI out? Well, here's this or adding value for destination position. And then at the workshop, who are those key players based on the designation, the official designation that we start to help. Now we need to connect those players too. We want to talk about public or private.
Okay, both.
About both HWA webinars that we had talked about was you don't want to allow that. You know, you don't want a developer coming in and say, yeah, I want to here. You know, we want a thoughtful process. So we want to talk about that thoughtful process. And we want to, I guess it's facilitating more public part of the
And the maybe
that has to be part of the equation. Whatever we do, we need to set, have a policy discussion that will set the groundwork for what we're doing for the event, the workshop, and then we need to segment the different talking points to bring forward. One of the topics of discussion has to be how we can bring private public together. I think that's
right.
It's got to be a key. How we do it. And the big thing is we're going to try very hard, and I'm hoping everybody in this room will try through their agencies very hard to try to get private companies and interested parties to participate in this workshop because they need to be in on the ground level. I don't think we can't have this workshop and say, okay, let's go out and find some people now. I think we need to incorporate those into the planning process at the very beginning. I think that's what was very successful with our workshops in Connecticut, and really that gained tremendous springboard. So that when we wanted to do the event in Providence, we had a bunch of people that were just tell me the date now.
Oh yeah.
Because we already instilled that interest in the validity of what we were doing to those people in Connecticut, and that's where we're at that point. Like I think right now, this workshop in November is going to be where the NEDC workshop was in Connecticut. This is our beginning.
Our launch pad.
This is our launch pad. Right. That's my thought.
No, I love that because at that partners meeting, our Clean Corridor Congress that we had a pretty firm commitment of folks who wanted to take part, who would come to a workshop that we're organizing. And they wanted to not wait another 2 years before we had that workshop. They wanted it this year. So guess what? We're getting it still. So hopefully. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Look at that list.
All the people on that list have been invited to the work group.
We did that action.
Oh, yeah. Susan and I checked that out. Oh, boy. The 22 items. That's crazy. Yeah, I lost those. I lost those notes. I saw them in my garage. But anyway, but we have, and they've been shared. No, and so there's Susan. Did you type them up? Yeah. Oh, anyway, so whatever. Yeah. I love it, Wayne.
I think in terms of the core, at the time this workshop is held, still been announced. So at that point, maybe what the focus should be on, okay, how to designate what next.
And that's part of like mirroring the corridors. Like I said, like there might be corridors have big time for and let's see are they connected or are they not. I would hope that when they look at the designation applications there, cross-reference let's hope that. And we'll know that. Yeah.
And I think one of the
they're not, then what steps do we have to take that should take one to
you want to find what the objective workshop, what you want people to take home, how much of it is deliverable.
Well, I think at the end of the day, we want to have some type of plan in place where we're all working together to come up with a course, so that we come up with a level of understanding of what is it going to take for us to work together. Because it is. I mean, it's even been a complicated issue as we've developed our roadmap, really just getting our head around it. I mean, there's so many different partners that are so key that may not understand or know each other. It's making that connection. And I think figuring out how we can effectively work together. And I think, Mike, it's a really good point. We'll have those corridors defined. So then now what? And so then how do we work together? And I think that goes to the policy part. I'm setting up the policy for us to work together as a region.
And then you're going to know who to invite, you know, based on the information you get out of FHWA. Because we're going to know then what the roads are, what infrastructure is on those roads. We're going to have a sense of what fleet of the anchor tenants. And then we have to look at that next outer ring, you know, and yeah, right.
And be ready to address how we're going to accomplish those goals within those corridors. Yep. And since we have somebody who's a specialist now in behavioral science, we can draft her, because that'd make her. That's a great topic.
Yeah.
For one of our discussions, is that we didn't have in previous. We never really talked about behavior.
Right.
We never really talked about that, but it's an Mike, you know, when he talked about it in speech,
yeah.
But that's a very large component of how we attract or how we change things that are happening. It's the behavioral way people behave.
What would teach us an educator? You define your goals. It has to be measurable, so that it's just not we would like to, you know, go down and you have to be positive that you define, measure them, and you have to come up with some sort of a rubric to gauge whether or not you're being successful, and a criteria that everyone is very well aware of. It's like otherwise, it's like when it comes down to disaster. The goal is the most important at the beginning of any concept, because it has to be observable, measurable, and viable. You can't measure it. It's not a true goal. But that's something that has to be gauged. So what would the overarching goal be then, that at the end of the day, there's infrastructure, every, you know, freight, fuel infrastructure every X hundred miles, or on every major, you know, like X miles off the interstate, certain miles apart, or trade corridors if it's not an interstate, you know, or the big people. And this gets into supply chain. So I don't know if everybody here read that white paper, the I-95 border supply chain study that you did. It was in March of this year. No, I did not.
No, it did. Abby, I think, sent that out.
So it's a very, not the letter, not the. No, it's 24 pages long. The white paper. It was very informative about supply chain. They go into 5 or 6 different cargoes. But you know how they move from this point to that, and they note the congestion. I mean, everything bothers in Chicago. Everything bothers Chicago. Yeah. But so I'm hoping that when FHWA establishes criteria, then maybe something we need to do is look for opportunity within that criteria to look at that supply chain and where we need to expand that. I guess it's back to narrative supporters, logical, to develop the alternate stories. Not just yeah, but did you read it? Did you read the? It just came out. Yeah, no.
No. Well, yeah, she's on the road, but yeah, it's in your box. Anyway. So we'll learn, and I don't know if Mike, I know you've been really involved in the development of the RFI. Are there certain things within that RFI? And I know that depending on the eligibility for defining green corridor or designating a green corridor, all within that RFI requirements for an application. But are there certain aspects of that that we can kind of think about right now that might be beneficial to the kind of thinking that we want to have for our workshop. So, you know, the point like understanding, you know, I really love this idea that once the corridor is a designated event, it allows us to better plan and prepare and partner with the folks that are going to be benefiting from that corridor. So how can we turn that into an action that we pull into our workshop discussion?
Application. Say, here's the road, here's the infrastructure, here's the objective, here's the BMT associated with it, here's the here's the emissions benefits, here's what the station's going to go. That plan is going to be, it could ask for a lot. So,
In 30 days.
30 days and 20 pages.
And 20 pages, are you? Boy. We can request an extra 15 days, maybe.
You know, we've already
There just needs, so we will. We're gonna all this letters.
We don't have any CBI. We don't have any board ethics educated or have any time.
It was originally a limit, and then a limit.
Oh wow.
The potential is not. Yeah. Or but then also
Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's something we talk about. I think that you have fuel on a rest stop. Doesn't mean it's still there. It's private lunch. So you let a private entity give off one. That's within the range. Not necessarily happen. You know,
like what I'm saying.
I for the interest.
But it's very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not our property where
There was just the university application. The university application. So, I mean, the disconnect is in finance for the NHS, but they're not allowing any development of stations in the right direction. So, how do you do that? Then you have to go out RFI or RFP with a private entity. You know, land, you know, acquisition is a huge consideration, especially in really dense neighborhoods areas. And then you have, you know, maybe an anchor tenant, you know, can start and be the help or leverage, you know, vision development, but you're then, you know, constantly trying to search for additional fleets to take that class.
So maybe what I'm thinking is maybe an issue, or I don't want to say issue, but maybe a topic we discuss is what, okay, so now we know what the corridors are. What are our barriers to supporting them, taking in clean infrastructure?
And also, we talked about this on the way up on the train, is to get that guy from the convenience store association. Still talk about from the private sector side,
The commercial side,
right?
So I have a really good contact via Chuck Feinberg with Clean Cities of New Jersey. He's got this just an unbelievably character and a half, just really outspoken, real wonderful, jovial guy who had reached out to me a number of years ago and wanted to carry out an educational forum for all of his commercial gasoline retailers to talk about, okay, you guys are dinosaurs. You're only looking at diesel and gasoline. You need to be thinking about what other technologies and fuels and EV infrastructure can you be putting at your convenience store, or your gasoline station, or your fueling station. So I really loved that idea, and he just felt like he really needed to bring his members, because he represents the Association of the Retailers and Gasoline Stores in New Jersey, and wanted to bring all his members up to date with what's out there and what do we need to start planning for. I think it's that type of thinking that we need to bring in from our private partners who are thinking about that. I mean, I thought that was so cool, and things have changed since then, but I think maybe it's an opportunity to bring someone like Jeff, his name's Jeff, to a meeting like this to talk about, that's an idea, right? You know who all your members are, you know where all the existing infrastructure, for fueling stations is. How can we think about, expanding that to include biodiesel or EVSE or, whatever. So just an idea. But I do think it'd be important to also discuss what are the barriers to.
You have to, right? If you don't get the right way to resolve the change, you have to go that way if you want to build additional capacity.
But all of the result of the I heard that my father-in-law where that would have patients spinning great. On the $500 a month.
And so, but that's another policy discussion on regulatory and maybe what can change.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually been surprised that part of Section 46 that FHWA has itself by the stakeholders that are outside, their stakeholder list requiring it to hotel input as well as that.
Right.
Everybody else. So, people, they have all the actors right there to the discussion on how can better accomplish
what needs to be done? What needs to be done to bring that audience together?
The commercial issue, every authorization is one here. There has been very interest in part of state that thought
because of the, I think because of the retail, yes, and
because of the retail,
right.
That dialogue with that.
It's challenging. It's because it's a challenging thing. I think that
The barrier.
Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, you don't want to put those guys out of business. You want, you want small towns to have a thriving Main Street. But by the same token, it's just so easy to put this stuff on, yeah.
Well, you can
Like
define,
with everything else.
you can define the corridors the way they allow it. On the night, on the state, not. So you can find from that, okay, these corridors allow. Fine. These corridors do not. So corridors do not have a barrier that you or your partner can't help. you know, the North American truck operator or whomever, then because there may be different stakeholders depending on the quarter. The freeway, you don't need to buy that if you can put that technology on the quarter. So what I'm saying, there may be different strategies for different quarters depending on what the restrictions are. Because the freeway is not restricted. NIDOT is restricted. So different quarters are going to have potentially different strategies, different parts.
So maybe we have to look at that. They serve them and here we have that. For example, the reality of
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, like, that's one of those points. That's one of those obstacles. That how can we either work around here, develop source that will often have fuel source within that corridor. Now, or how can we get more to put that work plan and all of that. And I'm not saying that it's but maybe that's what we should do is identify a couple of topics we got in that state. Compare each state and say, all right, this is the sales through on state or you can have to call at state level, on federal level, on a local level. You know, and how we work around that. That's really broad.
You look at it as a system. So if you step back and you're looking at it as a system, and you do it here at Keystone.
Right.
It makes sense to do it here. You know, the traffic dots that justify doing it here is to feed this market where we can't do it.
And then that gives us kind of into the a direct corridor. So the extra benefit of it is that it's an alternate connection.
Or
Right.
You guys, I just want to do a little time check here. We have about 10 minutes before our meeting ends, and then a number of us are heading over to the port. If we can spend 5 more minutes on some additional ideas, and then I want to just spend about 5 minutes discussing this next step. Does that sound okay with everyone?
Fine.
Okay. All right.
Real quick, I think I mentioned it on one of our calls, how needed with, I haven't got a complete buy-in yet, but Federal Highway, their office of freight some other people that work with the control project. Innovative solutions can improve freight movements and drilling. The final logistics operation technology center. So it's going to have noble practices, innovation, technology, logistics, operation. So I've been floating it up the chain to see if these people can speak. And if they would, I think it would be really good.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think
I was a white paper.
It's a white paper, but they're going to come up with fact sheets with no best practices. The only question is, will all this be ready in time?
Yeah.
well, even this is other lessons to be. Yeah.
Let's say a potential placeholder.
Okay.
Really good if it's ready and they're willing to try. And obviously, the sooner we approach it, the more realistic it will be. Yeah, I have already sent the material. Right. They're kind of floating up the chain and they're waiting for Diane to get back to work. So I think this would be really good because there is a lot.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, maybe what I can do is kind of plant some seeds for folks to start thinking about as we come together in another planning meeting in the future, to think about who would you like to speak at this meeting? You know, what are some good potential keynote speakers? We had Ray LaHood, thanks to our good friend Wayne over here, who presented and gave a keynote address at our partners meeting in Providence. It was awesome. I mean, we had a number of really great keynotes at our Providence meeting that really spoke to the message and really provided energy and passion to really motivate people to be thinking about these issues. So who are some, potential big level speakers we might want to consider at the meeting? Think about panel topics, and I really love the idea of bringing public and private partners together on a panel to share lessons, to share ideas, to share best practices. So, as we're thinking about panel topics and we're looking at some of these really good objectives and goals that we've been identifying, and I'll clean up these notes and give them to everybody, start putting some structure together. but think about, who are these speakers we might want to, speak on these particular issues, and making sure that we're getting good representation of our stakeholder partnerships. So making sure that we have the different modes of transportation represented, that we have the environmental groups and the advanced tech, and we have federal and the state and the local governments all involved. So let's just making sure that we're as diverse and open to show that how inclusive our group is and how we do want to work together and support this regional partnership. Does that sound all right to everybody?
One thing I want to mention about, Volkswagen. Yeah, and unfortunately, I said on a couple of calls, and it's not that the EPA is not that involved with of course, they're involved in settlement stuff. They're not involved in administering funds. The trustee that does on behalf of the state, so the states are going to be really involved. They're going to get the money from this trustee. They're going to have a notice of participation or certificate on that to go out to participate. The DRC program is going to be within that. The state wants to go with their group. They can do that with some money, but the state can also stay out of here, state option, and then just do it themselves. The reason I say this is there's going to be a lot of money that the state to say implement great and any type of technology. The problem is, though, Gary, and I was talking about this, the trustee, the settlement that they have with Volkswagen is 3-year period. Nowhere has it been disclosed at this point in time that there are dates. How much of that has to be paid by a certain date? It's a fluid thing with the idea that at the end of 3 years, all one has to pay. But it's really going to be dependent on Volkswagen's profits or losses or how much money they can put in to the trust. I mean, they've already over that how much the states already are going to. Right. Yes.
Right.
Supposed to get. But that's the devil. The details is that it's a 3-year deal, so this could be an opportunity to get people to say, hey, we have these projects that we're interested in. You guys are going to have the money. That's on. That's right.
I love that.
Before, you got to build your project. You think of building your projects now. So I don't know how much money gets now.
No, but I love that. And I put that down because I think that that is a key point, and that's actually something that we're bringing to all of our partners meeting is, okay, let's talk about funding. Well, funding is out there to help us meet our goals, our emission reduction goals. So now it's, okay, we have these corridors designated. How are we going to build out that infrastructure? How are we going to continue to promote those clean freight corridors in developing? I think that's great. And I think that's a topic we should consider. I just want to quickly acknowledge my partners on the phone here. Jerry, Jeff, did you guys have any further thoughts before we move into next steps?
I'm good for now.
Yep, nothing from me. Is there going to be, are you going to send any minutes or any type of summary after this, Alicia?
Yeah, Jeff, I am, and I'm recording this meeting too, so I can send that as well.
Okay, great, thanks.
Alicia, just on that point, recording is going to be kind of difficult because of sound quality. But
so at least you hear me.
right.
Yeah, no, I'll let me see if I can improve that. When I work on the uploading and all that good stuff, let me see if I can improve the audio quality. Okay, Jerry.
Be difficult.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Did the best I could, Jerry. I wish I could have had it connected to a better intercom system, but we're using my cell phone.
That's fine. That's fine. No criticism. Letting you know.
Okay, thanks, Jerry. All right.
So Abby and I were in the province 2 years ago, and some of you, we were talking about this upcoming event. Well, GP's right there.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know who's thinking about, I don't know if they would present or just want to sponsor or who's come. You guys are probably know who the technology.
Yeah, it love it.
Like full bus there, everybody down to 1 hour. They're right here. So if you can help getting sponsored,
We will, because this is a new group of people that we're going after that we had previously been associated with. So any way that you can introduce us or any of your contacts that you think would benefit mutually of you know, and be a benefit to our organization as a resource, that'd be great.
Okay, so I'm putting in here ID sponsors. I think also thinking about other site visit type possibilities and stuff like that. So I'm putting that down as next step for us to talk about. I just want to get a sense from folks, how often would we like to meet as a work group, as a planning team? And of course, we'll have a really good, we'll try to be really good at having a structured agenda and really, you know, set out some good goals for each call so that we can see some good progress. But how often would we like to come together? So we have, let me just look at the calendar here. Don't mind my Outlook, you guys, and my messy inbox. Let me pull up the calendar. Let me see if I can do this. How do I? Sure. A lot. Oh, as many private partners we can. So that's the next step. Let me let me include that as a next step, because I think we need to grow our attendee list. So how many months do we have before November? Yeah, 4. Thank you. So we have 4 months. Typically, what we've done in the past is that we would meet bi-weekly, and then once we got up to a month prior, we would meet every week. So does that sound all right? And it doesn't have to be everybody all the time. You know, definitely we want to work with your schedules and your availability. We would love to get as many of you as possible and as regular as possible, but we also want to be mindful of your, respectful of your busy schedule. How often does that sound all right to folks for now? Maybe the first 3 months will be bi-weekly, and we can kind of gauge how we're doing and how we're progressing, but it's a lot of work, and that time quickly passes by, and then we're at the event. I'm talking calls. This is probably only going to be our face-to-face meeting. If I can bring another one here, that'd be great. But
every other week allows us to keep calls on here now.
Right.
It seems like if we try to go longer with that, call seems to go longer than an hour, and then it becomes a problem. So,
what days? No, perfect. What days work really well for folks? Okay. So I'm going to send out a doodle poll. Okay, so AG send out doodle poll. All right, you guys, some other things I'm thinking as next steps is, one, we're going to want to get a save the date out. And we've kind of started getting the word out kind of casually through our work group sessions, but I think we need to put together a really nice save the date with some good defined goals and objectives and why it brings value to everyone who we want to participate. So developing a save the date. Also, something that we and Wayne and Gary were very helpful in kind of coming up with a sponsorship invitation so that we can show what value our technology partners and our service providers will get out of the event, and kind of setting up some kind of sponsor dollar amount around what type of level of recognition they would be getting through the event. So that's another thing that we'll need to put together. Again, folks, I think that, you know, because our PIs are wonderful hosts, and we're so thankful that we're saving on the cost of having to secure a venue, we do want to find a way that we can help cover food costs. So that's where our sponsorships will be coming, really be going toward, is getting reception, our breakfast, our lunch, you know, that type of thing.
Our intention has always been the people that do at the table that all the events we've had before, we don't charge registration, we don't charge cost.
Yeah.
So there is no cost. People can send as many as they want. And we've always tried to keep it zero, except for the hotel. recommendations, and then we'll work with you a couple of spots that you guys suggested to us, and we'll get the venue, and we'll negotiate at that venue.
Yeah, and right now the Hilton was giving me 129. So we'll look at what Best Western is going to do. So we're meeting with 2 hotels, Best Western, thanks to Jeff's recommendation.
The Hilton has a shuttle that pretty much, I think it's on demand for 15 minutes or something like that. So I think it's parking.
And there's only 40 rooms available for that week for Hilton. Yeah. So we might have to break it up a little bit.
That's the problem. We want everybody at one hotel, 2 hotels.
The other one they have to go.
Would there be any parking available?
Yeah, it's just more of a challenge because, I mean, the big parking lot that was kind of to the right of where you guys parked is going to have space, but it's going to be more of a challenge. So I could go to RPI. We park at the field house, so they have a dedicated shuttle that most people have just have to pay for shuttle parking.
Okay. 150? So we'll have to, we'll do what we'll do is we'll set up a, we'll set up a kind of an Evite, right? How do I say it? Yes, thank you. Eventbrite, where we set the limit to 150. So I think that will be good. I mean, we had about 165, 170 at the partners meeting, so we had folks that kind of showed up last minute. We have to anticipate that as well. Oh, you're wonderful. Okay, I'm putting that down. Martha, registration. Yeah. No. Oh, really?
Don't hold back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so quick on that, Martha, should we carpool the folks that are going to go on the boat tour? And I know some of us, and we wish. Do we want to carpool to help save on fuel costs and return? I know we have carpool karaoke offered by Susan. She has some tunes for us. Well, let me just say goodbye to our friends on the phone here. Jerry and Jeff, thank you so much, you guys, for being on our call today in our first kickoff planning meeting. I think we have a lot of good things to come, and I appreciate your time.
Great. And for the karaoke, I don't sing, by the way. So.
Thanks, Jerry. But don't you worry, one day we might hold karaoke. Okay. Bye, you guys.